Hello everyone, Darsonovia here once again. I'm giving my final thoughts on the Millennium Trilogy. This is Inferno. This is the final book of the Millennium Trilogy. I'm not going to tell you everything that happened in the previous books. Watch the other reviews. And, well, like the last book, this takes place right where the second book leaves off. And this being the final, chapter of the trilogy, the stakes are the highest. Well, they have to be considering it's the third act. And essentially, the universe was destroyed at the end of the last book, and the crew on the Defiant are are separated, and they both are in different points in time, and they're trying to you know stop the change of the timeline. But everything in the first book, like why Odo doesn't remember what happened on the days the Cardassians left Turlock Nor and Quark, all the unanswered questions from the first book are revealed in this one. And not to mention, you know, in good Star Trek fashion, the cast are figuring out solutions on how to, get off, their ships and to get out of their current predicament because the universe has come to an end and there's a limited amount of time before everything basically collapses. And this book in the trilogy, like the other ones, is a page turner. I I think the authors do a good job of making the reader wanting to read more. I want to continue reading this. I think the ending for this trilogy is satisfying and it doesn't feel anticlimactic. And in a way, there's a sense of irony in, Gul Dukat, who does play a role in this, book, and is essentially he has his own motives for wanting to change the timeline. Spoiler for Deep Space Nine: Gul Dukat kills Jassia Dax. But in this book, considering the Gul Dukat is from a different timeline, she ends up killing the very person that will ultimately kill her not too long. Because this trilogy takes place not too long before the series, the season 6 finale of Deep Space Nine, Tears of the Prophets. Um, Now, how is the trilogy as a whole? I'll get to that in a little bit. Anyway, Inferno, I think it's a great, ending to a trilogy that I actually enjoyed overall. This book is probably my favorite of the trilogy. Honestly, the aspects in this book remind me of certain things that I grew to fall in love with Star Trek. The insane, crap that the Enterprise crew in TNG had to deal with on basically on a daily basis. And this reminded me of those episodes. But I also enjoyed, the dialogue and the interaction with the characters from DS9. I did actually enjoy one of the chapters where Garrick interacts with his past self, which the way he talks to himself is so Garrick. Honestly, every character feels in character in this entire trilogy, and honestly, this book, the ending was pretty satisfying. It doesn't feel like it's dragging on, and I feel like this is something I could recommend. Now I'm getting to what I think of the trilogy as a whole. Before I started to go back to reviewing Star Trek novels again, I started to buy Trek novels en masse because they were on sale, and one trilogy that caught my eye was the Millennium Trilogy. Now, this is the trilogy I've been looking forward to the most outside of the relaunch novels, that I will eventually get to. Why? The premise of the trilogy just intrigued me, and where it takes place also intrigues me because, you know, there's a time in between episodes where, after they go to rescue a woman who's already dead, up until the season finale of season 6, there's a story they can still tell, and I actually enjoyed it. And actually, it fits right at home with, Deep Space Nine, and I feel like these books would have made fantastic episodes. You probably would have had it done a 4 episode arc, if not more, but still, I thought this was a lot of fun. I actually enjoyed it. You know, this trilogy was probably my favorite books in Star Trek that I've read so far, besides Hollow Man and Asadi. And it makes me want to read more, books done by these authors, because they get Star Trek. This feels like something I would get out of Deep Space Nine. This book, could have easily just been a cash grab, where it was just published just to publish a book, because Star Trek novels prior to the relaunches, for the most part, were kind of cash grabs. They were just there just to sell something. And this book isn't a cash grab. It feels like something that could have happened in the Star Trek universe. And if you are new to the Star Trek literary verse, but you've seen all of Deep Space Nine, I would recommend this trilogy. If you're a Deep Space Nine fan, I'd recommend this trilogy, because it gives you more story, in this era, and not to mention, it's I consider it a great Star Trek story. In fact, I consider this probably the best Star Trek story I've read, in the Star Trek literary verse. Honestly, then again, I am biased because I'm a fan of Deep Space Nine. I give this trilogy a classic rating. It's one of the best, Star Trek novels I've read. And if I had to judge it as a trilogy, excellent. It's easy to find. You can find an omnibus of this trilogy on Amazon, or you can get it on Kindle. I mean, I can't recommend this enough. If you're a Deep Space Nine fan, pick up this trilogy. I don't think you're going to regret it. This is Darcenovia, over and out. Next time, I'm going to review something from the Next Generation, which will be written by Peter David, Q squared. I think that's what it's called. See you guys next time, and may we live long and prosper. Later.